A very good morning to all present here, students, peers, and the respected dignitaries. I am Himang Jangid, the Consulting Director at RCC, and I'm happy to be your host for today. As you all know, the reason we have gathered on this much awaited day is to welcome and introduce the prestigious Ramanujan Consulting Club to the new batches of our college. Over the course of the next few hours, you guys would be learning about our organization, what the philosophy is, and what you guys would be a part of if you join. I would kindly request all of you to switch off all your phones and not leave in between, and most importantly, listen carefully, for there is nothing more expensive than a missed opportunity. Before starting, I would like to cordially thank Mr. Mohinder Paul for his unprecedented support, which has been paramount in the regular functioning of the society, Ms. Ruchika Bal, who couldn't be here today, for taking out time and lending us her much appreciated support. Now, I would like to kindly call upon our esteemed speaker, Mr. Ayush Kumar, who has immense experience as a management consultant at KPMG India and as a professional mentor at XLRI Jamshedpur to give us an insight on the infinite world of consulting.
First off, before anything else, I give all of you a lot of credit for being here in this winter. I mean, so I have to show up for my job at about 9:30, 10 in the morning, and it is a struggle every day. And I was talking to somebody the other day, and they were like, I was like, कि दिल्ली में ठंड बहुत है. And they were like, you say this every year, that this is a really cold year. And I was like, it is cold. What can we do? So any set of students that shows up, I have a lot of respect for. Now, before we get into the brass tacks of what consulting, why consulting, etc., the one thing that I want to say to you at an introductory stage, now that you're stepping into college, is the first thing to do. This is true. So this is one of the things that we do in consulting. And it applies to life and it applies to everything that you would want to do. Is figure out during the course of your project right now being this program. During the course of your project, what constitutes success for you? अगले 3 साल में अगर आप क्या कर लोगे तो आप उसको सक्सेसफुल मानोगे अपने 3 साल को. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, for a lot of people it is academics. Academics is a great goal to have, wherein you are like, okay, at the end of these 3 years I want to be in the top 10-15 students, or I want to be number 1 or whatever. That is one kind of goal. The other kind of goal is sports. Sports ka, I'll give you an example. So when I was in school, I went to school here only. I was at Modern Barakhamba. And I had a lot of pride in the fact that I was one of the academic toppers. And the person जो boards में मेरे साथ में बैठता था, उस बंदे के प्री बोर्ड में आए थे मैथ्स में 4 नंबर. तब बोर्ड में आई थिंक 30 मार्क्स वॉज व्हाटएवर प्रैक्टिकल और समथिंग, 70 मार्क्स का प्री बोर्ड होता था, उसके आए थे 4. एंड व्हेन आई टोल्ड माई मदर, शी वाज, एंड आई वाज लाइक, वो लिखे जा रहा है बंदा, लिखे जा रहा है. एंड आई टोल्ड माई मदर, शी वाज लाइक, वैसे 4 नंबर लाना भी ना ऐसे अकॉम्प्लिशमेंट होती है. इफ यू राइट लाइक 6-7 पेजेस एंड यू गेट 4, दैट इज ऑल्सो, दैट काउंट्स फॉर समथिंग. एंड in my head I had this superiority complex that I'm getting good scores. मैं तो 94-95 ला रहा हूँ, ये बंदा 4 ला रहा है. तो my running joke was that my score plus his score was 100. अब वो बंदा दिल्ली कैपिटल्स के लिए क्रिकेट खेल रहा है और मैं नौकरी कर रहा हूँ. ऐसे ही I had this other friend in school. He was also like, I think इसके 4 आए थे, उसके 0 आए थे. वो बंदा अभी recently, I think for some singer, he was her backup guitarist. I went to watch the show, he was on stage. I was like, हम में से सक्सेसफुल तो वो हुआ, मैं पैसे दे के आया हूँ इसका शो देखने. So the beauty of these two examples that I gave is that these are both people who had very clear definitions of what success would be for them. And it didn't have to be academics. My definition at that very limited point of time was academics. For one of them, their definition of success was, I want to play cricket professionally. And he's done it. Now he's in the IPL. अभी भी कोई तो डबल सेंचुरी मारी थी उसने. The other friend, his definition was, I want to become a world-class guitarist. Now he's doing shows all over the country. So the thing that you should, not right now, not this second, but over the course of the next 1, 2, 3, 6 months, is define to yourself, what is it that you are looking for? What to you constitutes success? And that will be your step 1 towards actually getting it. So that can be academics, that can be sports, that can be industry exposure, and industry exposure is a part of the process. It's not success itself, because success would be, I want to do a master's from this place, I want to do an MBA from this place, I want to get this kind of job. And it's okay if you don't know what kind of job, it's okay if you don't know what you want to do, but have a broad idea of what constitutes success for you. And more than giving you, so I'll also get to the consulting part, but more than that, I want to address the learnings that you can use right now. Rather than me telling you कि आप अभी से कंसल्टिंग की कोशिश करो and 6 years down the line आप बहुत बढ़िया कंसल्टेंट बन जाओगे. It is a better use of your time on a cold Wednesday morning for me to tell you कि अगले 2 महीने क्या करना है. So that was one. Now, in terms of what constitutes success also, there are steps, which again we use in consulting also, and which we use in life also, if we do it in a little bit of a structured manner. Which is, when we talk about, suppose, पहली बात तो where are we right now? दूसरी बात क्या steps चाहिए हमें रास्ते में? Which is कि अभी मैं इस कोर्स में एंटर किया हूँ, for me success constitutes that I want to get a really great job at the end. Where am I right now and how do I get there? उसकी जर्नी हमें डिफाइन करनी पड़ती है, which is never a clear cut linear path. That is a path that will take you through lots of turns along the way. Abhi bhi all of you have reached here after completing school. It's not been an easy journey. Boards में मेहनत लगी होगी, pre boards में लगी होगी, along the way पूरे रास्ते में लगी होगी. So that is a really important part to define. That is just something that I wanted to say as a preamble. Now, the essentially consultancy bit of talk. Now, your club has invited me and I'm very grateful to them, and sir is here, which I'm very, very grateful for. So let's talk a little bit about what consultants do. And the reason I want to talk about that is twofold. One, the more learning you gain about what are your career options, the better. Two, since your club has so graciously invited me, the more you learn about what a consultant does, the more you can hold them accountable. तो तुम सीधा ही बोल सकते हो कि भाई कंसल्टेंट ये करता है, तुम ये कर नहीं रहे हो. So that is my other thing, hold them accountable. Now what a consultant does is consult. That's the end of my talk. So what we do is, companies come to us with a business problem. And that business problem can be very fundamental. It can be very existential for the business. The company can say, our profits are down, our ship is sinking. Or the company can also say, we want to enter this new market. हम अपना साबुन दिल्ली में बेच रहे हैं, अब हमें बॉम्बे में भी बेचना है, कैसे बेचें? या फिर हम साबुन दिल्ली में बेच रहे हैं बट उसको बनाने में हमें 3 रुपए लगते हैं, हमें 1 रुपया लगाना है, कैसे करें? Fundamental problems. And we, as an external party, evaluate the problem. We go in, we do the secondary research कि अच्छा आप साबुन 3 रुपए में बेच रहे हो, आपके competitors तो 2.5 रुपए में बेच रहे हैं. We'll evaluate the problem, we'll do the secondary research. We'll go to the client, we'll sit in their office, and we will act as consultants to them, wherein we consult them on how to resolve the problem. Now this again has 3 parts, as is true for everything in life. The first part of a problem-solving approach is you evaluate and understand the problem. Mane, suppose the problem that you face is that in this subject, मेरे को 90% चाहिए, मेरे 80% आ रहे हैं. So you come to me as a consultant with very tangible goals. मेरे को 90% चाहिए, मेरे 80% आ रहे हैं, क्या करूँ? So I'd be like, okay, first of all, my analysis would be, what is the class average? If the class average is 60 और तुम्हारे 80 आ रहे हैं, तो भाई खुश रहो ना, फिर पार्टी करो. Then I'd be like, अगर class average 90 है and you're getting an 80, that is a problem. Then I'd look at what is the trajectory of people who have gone from an 80 to a 90. There would have been other people in the past who would have had the same problem. They would have been at an 80, they would have aspired to a 90. So as a consultant, I would be like, okay, these are the 6 students who have been along a similar journey. These are the things that they did. And then you'd come back to me and you'd be like, and I'd be like, so these are the people who did it. These people also used to study from 9 p.m. to 12 a.m. तो तुम भी 9 to 12 पढ़ना शुरू कर दो. And then you come back to me and say, 9 to 12 तो मैं नहीं कर सकता, 10 बजे तो शार्क टैंक आना है. पॉसिबल ही नहीं है. ये प्रॉब्लम पिछले वालों की नहीं थी, तब शार्क टैंक नहीं था. I'd be like, okay, so then I'd customize my solution to your problem. I'd be like, ठीक है, you do 9 to 10 and you do 11 to 1. थोड़ा सा कम सोलो. So part 1 is where I have defined the problem. I have isolated the exact issue. The issue here being, maybe you're not studying enough hours. I have isolated the problem through a process. Now part 2 is the hardest part, and this is the part जिसमें consultants अपना खून भी जलाते हैं, and this is the part where essentially you make your money, and this is the part that you have to be good at in life, which is implementation, execution. A lot of you would have startup ideas. Understand the fact that ideas are worthless, execution is everything. If you can execute, if you can implement, that is everything. So चलो, हमने define कर दिया. मैंने बोला, what's your name? हिमांग. I said, हिमांग तुम रात को पढ़ लो, 9 से 10 पढ़ लो, 11 से 1 पढ़ लो. And Himang says, okay, done. And I said this to him on a Sunday, and on a Monday, he watched Shark Tank from 10 to 11. 11 o'clock, he fell asleep. And then the next exam came around, and he didn't score, and he's like, Ayush, I'm still at 80%. You gave me an idea, it didn't work. So then we get to the implementation part, which is where I'll be like, okay, I will sit with you, you study. I will play FIFA on mute for 2 hours. Because मेरा तो हो गया ना, मेरे को नहीं करनी पढ़ाई. You study, I will sit here. And then we go through the implementation journey together. 2 weeks, I sit there and he studies. 2 weeks later, another exam comes around and he scores an 85. And we're like, okay, we are on the right journey. We just haven't spent enough time, but we can see tangible impact. We do this for another 2 weeks and he gets that 90. So what we have done along the way is monitoring. So the 3 stages that we are looking at is evaluation of the problem, implementation of the solution, and then monitoring. Any thinking process that you learn will essentially have these 3 steps elaborated. If you're doing a consulting problem, it will have these same 3 steps. If you talk about design thinking, it will have the exact same 3 steps. If you talk about script writing, it has the same 3 steps. Every movie can be divided into 3 parts. Every book can be divided into 3 parts. There is a 3-part structure to everything: life, birth, and death. You identify the problem, you figure out your implementation strategy, you implement, and then you monitor. So as consultants, this is what we do. So if a company comes to us, if Coke comes to us and says, we are selling fewer...
I'm sorry, but I can't help with that.
तुम्हारा लैपटॉप कुछ बोल रहा है. हाँ, so as consultants, that is what we do. So if Coke comes to us and says, we are selling fewer Coke bottles in Delhi, so then we do the same thing. We'd be like, is everybody selling fewer beverages? What has happened in the past when this has happened? And we will identify the problem and we will do a whole series of steps and be like, the reason you are selling fewer bottles is because everybody else is lower in price, आपने अपनी price बढ़ा दी है. So maybe you make smaller bottles. Then we help them on the implementation journey, wherein we say, from an implementation standpoint, कि ये चीज़ आप कर सकते थे, we will help you along this journey. We will help you design newer bottles. We will help you reduce your cost of goods. We will help you accelerate sales. And then we will monitor them along the journey. The beauty of consulting and the really annoying part about consulting is that you are on a project for about, say, 6 months. This is a beautiful thing because my attention span is low. I get bored easily. So if a project is 6 months, 3 months into the project, I can always be like, चलो 3 महीने में खत्म हो जाएगा. 3 महीने में कोई और client आएगा. The really annoying part is, I will say go through a journey where we will be like, this is our brilliant idea that you should execute. But then I don't get to see it executed. So what's going to happen is, along your journey, a lot of people are going to say awesome things about consulting. But much like anything else, it's a job that has its good parts, that has its not so good parts. But that is essentially what a consultant does. So whether we are talking about KPMG, PwC, Ernst & Young, Deloitte, McKinsey, Bain, BCG, Chanakya, Birbal, consultants. My theory has always been that Chanakya was the first ever management consultant. So that broadly is what a consultant does. Now, in terms of the club, what I want to say to all of you is, and I had the opportunity to learn as to what they do in the last 15 minutes before we came here. The thing that they offer to you that is invaluable is industry exposure. Now, ऐसे ना बहुत सारे टर्म्स हैं जो कि एक पॉइंट पे बहुत यूज़फुल थे और अब वो इतना ओवर यूज़ हो गए हैं that they have lost all meaning. And there are many of them. अगर आप इंडस्ट्री में देखोगे तो डिजिटल ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन इज़ वन. मतलब there are so many terms जिनका कोई मतलब नहीं रहा है. My favorite is breaking the internet. Now, industry exposure is also something that has sort of become meaningless because anything is now industry exposure. मैं कल चाचा जी के साथ बैठा था, वो अपनी कंपनी के बारे में बात कर रहे थे, मैं इंडस्ट्री को एक्सपोज हो गया. मैंने आज सुबह अखबार बहुत डिटेल में पढ़ लिया, मैं इंडस्ट्री एक्सपोज हो गया. So, but when you're exposed to the industry in a way that the industry is also exposed to you, that is industry exposure. आप इंडस्ट्री को एक्सपोज हो रहे हो without the industry knowing you, without them knowing what you're doing, doesn't count. Unpaid internships is one such example. I'm not a big fan. So that is what this club is offering you, wherein they're giving you a chance to actively work with the industry in a way that the industry is monitoring what you're doing. Wherein the industry is saying कि ठीक है, हमें तुमसे ये चाहिए, you have to deliver us this. If you do better, great. If you don't do it, then you do it again. That industry exposure has different value over any other kind, which is why when the members of your club told me about what they're doing, which is why I liked it, which is why I'm here on a weekday bunking office. So हाँ, this is also something you should know. Bunking की प्रथा चलती रहती है, खत्म नहीं होती है. So that has value, and that is the one thing that I think your club is doing really well, which is something that all of you will obviously over the years take forward. So that is an important thing to keep in mind. The other thing I think that is really important for all of you to keep in mind right now is, as long as you have your goals defined, you can explore 1,000 other things, have fun along the way, and still generally be aligned with कि मेरे को इधर पहुंचना है, which is essentially what we also do in our jobs, where, so right now for example our project is कि this project, the company is at 25 crore sales, they want to do 100 crore this year. नहीं होगा. Between you and me, नहीं होगा. हमारे client को नहीं पता अभी, but मैं बता रहा हूँ नहीं होगा. But we are all aligned towards the same goal. We are all working our hardest. The client is also working. The market is such कि हमें पता नहीं होगा. But goal defined है हमारा. उसकी तरफ काम कैसे करना है वो defined है हमारा. Which is essentially what you need. And you can have a lot of fun along the way. And you can have a lot of learning along the way. And that is essentially it. So in terms of management consulting, it's great because you get to travel a lot and you see a lot of different companies and you see a lot of different business models and a lot of good business models and a lot of really terrible business models. As an example, one of my clients, so उनका भी sales acceleration project था. They were at X, they wanted to go to 5X. And then we went to the company and we saw and we were very excited कि बहुत बढ़िया project है. And then over time, I was talking to our partner and I was like, ये company मुझे ना थोड़ी सी hobby लग रही है. Because जो company का founder है, his father is funding the company. 18 साल से company चल रही है, profit नहीं बनाया इन्होंने. लग भी नहीं रहा ये प्रॉफिट बनाएंगे, ये मेरे को हॉबी टाइप लग रही है थोड़ी. So you'll see a lot of terrible companies, you'll see a lot of great companies, you'll get to work with a lot of companies that you know, whose products you use, that you might aspire to join. That is the beautiful part. The annoying part is obviously the work hours are really long. 12 घंटे तो निकल ही जाते हैं, 14 भी निकल जाते हैं, कभी कभी 16 भी निकल जाते हैं. But again, that is far off. Right now, what you need to do is just define your goals, see what you can do to get towards them. And the last thing that I want to say is, the beauty of being in college is that anybody you reach out to is not going to say no to you for help. Anybody you reach out to in the industry is not going to say no to you. Right now I am working. तो अगर मैं किसी को LinkedIn पे बोलूँ, hey bro, I need your guidance, वो बोलेगा भाई क्यों, तू कर तो रहा है नौकरी. But you can always reach out. You can always build your network. By the time you graduate, you can have a network of 30 people who are ready to offer you a job. So, and believe me, I don't remember the last time I saw somebody necessarily get a job just by virtue of putting their resume in the system or by putting in a referral. जब नौकरी ढूंढने जाओगे, जब पॉइंट आएगा पैसे बनाने का, your network will count. And the beautiful part is right now, you can reach out to anybody. You have enough and more faculty who will have enough and more connects, enough and more people to learn from. And all of those things you can do now. And then 15 years later, you can come back and give the same talk. But when you do it, I'm sure you'll do a better job also. But yeah, so those are the things I wanted to cover from a consulting standpoint. And one last thing that I want to say is actually really do watch Shark Tank. I've seen it help a lot of people. I have seen people who've done their undergrad and who've done their MBA जिनको अब जाके समझ आया gross margin क्या होता है. So actually do watch it. Other than the really long backstories, the show is actually quite useful. So that is it from my end. If there are questions. Chalo, straight to the point. Okay. I'm assuming any other questions that were going to come would have summed up to this question. So I will answer it well. So I was actually having this discussion with your team about 5-10 minutes ago, before your session started. In the industry, when they look at your resume, once you finish your undergrad, see, कुछ चीज़ें तो standardized होती हैं. कहाँ से undergrad किया, कितने number आए. The company wants to see how are you different from everybody else in a tangible way. For example, तुमने जो तुम्हारा कॉलेज तुमसे एक्सपेक्ट करता है उसके आगे तुमने क्या किया है. अगर तुम्हारा like your college is expecting you to study, obviously. Now either you're great at that and you're top 10 ranker. मैं नहीं था इसलिए मेरे को नहीं पता वो कैसी फीलिंग होती है, but let's imagine. So either you're that, you're in the top 10-15 students, that is your differentiator. So the company can very easily look at your profile and be like, okay, this person is really great at academics. बाकी प्रोफाइल में बहुत ज़्यादा कुछ नहीं है, but समझ आया इसको जो पढ़ाया गया है इसको. That is one. Second thing is, what have you done outside of what your college system is expecting you to do? What your college system is expecting you to do is basic hygiene factors. ये तो तुमने किया ही है, तुमने पढ़ाई करी ही है, तुमने क्लब्स में पार्टिसिपेट किया ही है, मतलब ये चीज़ें तो हैं ही. And your college is offering you those things, and that is awesome. The problem is that now you're competing with everybody else who has also been offered the same things. So you are competing with everybody in your batch who has had the same opportunity that all of you have had, right? Uske aage, the time that you had beyond that, what did you do that differentiates you? What is your story of excellence? जब McKinsey hire करता है, तो McKinsey is the only company, even if you come with 10 years of experience, they'll go back to your marks. McKinsey will see, what did you score in your undergrad? When you do your MBA and go, McKinsey will see तुम्हारे 12th में कितने आए थे. Why? Because they want to see a history of excellence. What are you really good at? What is your journey of excellence? If you are passionate about something, can you be excellent at it? या फिर तुम्हारा passion भी ढीला ही है? Just one arbitrary guesstimate. How many people here have an acoustic guitar in the house? अब हाथ खड़े रखो, जिनको बजानी आती है वो हाथ खड़े रखो. अब जिन्होंने पिछले 1 हफ्ते में बजाई है हाथ खड़े रखो. ठीक है? There is an अब नीचे कर लो, बस हो गया. There is an acoustic guitar in most households जिस पे धूल लग रही होती है, क्योंकि तुमने कभी खरीदी और तुमने सोचा I will play the guitar, and then you tried to play 3 chords and you were like अब मेरी उंगलियां दुख रही हैं, and then you never went back to it. What is your story of excellence? You tried the guitar, नहीं जमा, ठीक है. You tried sketching, नहीं जमा, ठीक है. Can you be excellent at something? What have you done on your own time to show that excellence? There are lots of people who at an undergrad level have a startup, which even if it fails, it is a differentiator because मुझे पता चलता है कि ठीक है, this person can hustle. This person is trying to do something extra. Even if your startup fails, the industry at least knows कि इसको basic धंधे की knowledge तो आई है. This person understands cash flow. This person understands revenue. So, to answer your question in a very roundabout way, what the company is looking at in your resume is what is the one thing that makes you stand out. A resume on average is looked at for about 6 seconds. A recruiter will look at your entire life story in 6 seconds. 6 सेकंड में तुम्हारे रेज्यूमे में क्या सेंस बन रही है बात की? बन रही है या नहीं बन रही है? बन रही है तो बताओ, नहीं बन रही है तो फिर तो बाहर ही हो तुम. So that is the answer. Over the next 1, 2, 3 years, what are you doing that's different? What are you doing that you're really good at? Are you a really good sports person? Because if you are, that tells me that if you're passionate about something, you will wake up at 6 in the morning to go practice. That tells me that you can wake up at 6 o'clock, practice for 2 hours, then go to college for 8 hours. And then do assignments and then play more. So that tells me कि तुम्हारा work ethic unmatched है. I have a friend who was a swimmer. And her whole thing was, and so she recently joined Pidilite. And the company was like, it's great because that tells me that under pressure you can perform. If I give you a deadline, you'll perform. What is your story of excellence? What are you great at? The next 3 years and all the opportunities that your college is giving you is for you to find out what are you great at. And that is all. Uske baad, then you will have a body of work. Once you've joined a company once and you've worked there 2-3 years, then you have a body of work, right? Then your work speaks for you. But right now, it's not about what did you do. The question is, what did you do well? जो मैं इनसे भी बात कर रहा था कि पोजीशन और रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज भी बहुत जल्दी डाइल्यूट हो जाती हैं क्योंकि सब मतलब बहुत लोगों के पास हैं. एंड फॉर एन एक्सटर्नल पार्टी इट्स हार्ड टू डिफाइन वेदर समबडी डिड अ गुड जॉब और नॉट. मैं बोल दूं अपने रेज्यूमे कि मैंने 10 इवेंट कराए और तुम भी बोल दो कि तुमने 10 इवेंट कराए. अब तुम्हारे 10 इवेंट पे आए 100 लोग ईच. मैंने 10 इवेंट कराए, मेरे पे सिर्फ तुम आए, बट हुए तो 10 ना. कंपनी को क्या पता? So, what are you doing better than everybody else? What is your hustle? That is your route. दैट्स योर रूट टू गेटिंग अ गुड जॉब. टू गेट अ जॉब वो तो मिल ही जाएगी. टू गेटिंग अ गुड जॉब, टू गेटिंग अ जॉब दैट यू वांट, दैट इज द रूट. मैडम घुस तो जाओ पहले. ये बात तो तुमने शार्क्स वाली करी है. मैं इन्वेस्ट कर दूंगा बट एग्जिट मेरे को कब मिलेगी. Exit options see a lot of roles in strategy, a lot of essentially a lot of roles in strategy, a lot of roles in growth, a lot of sort of CXO -1 level roles, chief of staff. So any role that requires essentially overview thinking, right? If you're in a sales job, you're going to get a sales job. If you're a consultant, तो तुमने पूरी value chain देख रखी है. Exit options बहुत है. For every person that comes into consulting, there is somebody who leaves. Exit options बहुत हैं. पहले घुस जाओ. और work-life balance is screwed everywhere, by the way. Yes. Okay. That's a good question. एक तो तुमने मेरे को इतना दूर पास्ट में भेज दिया. One thing I would have studied finance better. वो है मतलब मैं तो इंजीनियर था यार. मैं MBA में भी गया, मेरे को फिर भी नहीं समझ आया. तो one is I would have studied finance better. Two, I would have networked more. I can't say I would have partied more. वो तो बहुत किया है. I would have partied the same amount. Because now I'm 31 and now it's harder to party. So अभी तुम कर सकते हो, कर लो. And हाँ, I would have networked more definitely. And मैं ना अपने दिमाग में थोड़ा सा वो था कि if everybody is doing something, I want to do something else, which had benefits, but नुकसान ये होता था कि sometimes everybody is doing something for a reason. मैं ऐसी tangent पे निकल जाता था. तो कोई बात कर रहा था कि ये कंसल्टिंग क्लब है, ये है. मैंने बोला मैं जगलिंग वाला क्लब ज्वाइन करूँगा. मेरे को जगल करना सीखना है. So I would have made choices of how to utilize my time better. What happens now is I see a lot of people, like when I see all of you, my goal is not to stand here and say कि भाई मैं बहुत cool हो गया. My goal is to stand here and say I have made 100 mistakes. You make 99 and make a new 100th mistake. So if I had more clarity at that point on what I really want in life, at that point, at any point in that point, which would have come from more exploration, which would have come from talking to more people, which would have come from actually looking at what different people do. मेरे को था कि मेरे को गवर्नमेंट सेक्टर में भी जाना है, मुझे राइटर भी बनना है. मैंने गिटार पे जानी शुरू करी, मेरे को गिटारिस्ट भी बनना है. मेरे को एक्चुअली आती है, मेरी उसमें धूल नहीं लग रही. तो आई वांटेड टू डू एवरीथिंग, बट एट सम पॉइंट इट्स इम्पॉर्टेंट टू नैरो डाउन 3 थिंग्स. ये 3 चीज़ें तो करनी ही है, एवरीथिंग एल्स इज ग्रेट. सो आई वुड हैव यूटिलाइज्ड माय टाइम बेटर. इससे बढ़िया क्या ही पूछोगे. गो टू अनस्टॉप. आई थिंक अब अनस्टॉप बोलते हैं उसको. पहले हाँ D2C. Go to Unstop, participate in 10 case competitions and actually participate. And at the end of those 10 case competitions, अगर तुम्हें लगे कि मेरे को यही करना है लाइफ में, then consulting is a good fit. अगर तुम्हें लगे कि कल मेरा एग्जाम है, मैं आज 10 स्लाइड्स क्यों बना रहा हूँ, then you're not a good fit. मतलब as a thumb rule level, I think that's a good test. That's how I figured it out. But the thing that I want to add to that is, don't do consulting because it's a cool thing जिसमें जो सब करना चाहते हैं. Actually figure it out. If it is something you want to do, then pursue it. Don't just do it because लोग बोल रहे हैं इसमें ये learning बहुत है, वो बहुत है. At the end of the day, if you like the job, it's great. If you don't like it, your life will be hell because 12 hours a day you're doing something you don't like. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your wonderful and informative words of wisdom. We're absolutely honored to have you here. As a gesture of our gratitude, I would like to request our convener to hand over the memento to the guest of honor.